What is going on, Evan Nation? John Impemba here with Henry Wilson. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Game Day Playbook Show. Today we're taking a look at the Tuesday 10-game main slate over on the DraftKings. Henry had a great playbook yesterday, a little Memorial Day baseball. Ready to turn over to Tuesday today, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. Should be another good day. Got a really good slate ahead of us, so should be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Again, 10 games here. We'll pull it up for everybody as we go position by position. We appreciate you all tuning in here today. If you haven't already hit that like button, subscribe button, retweet over on X. If you haven't done so already, it's a free way to support the work we do here on the Fantasy Alarm channels. We appreciate you all tuning in here. Again, we got 10 games on this main slate. We had a couple of late changes here. Mike Clevenger getting scratched for the White Sox, no longer pitching. They got John Woodford starting instead of him. I don't know if that makes the Toronto Blue Jays bats more or less attractive for you on this slate, but we'll go through the pitching here. Top price guys, Zach Wheeler, Freddie Peralta, Cole Reagans, all up over $10,000. Nestor Cortez, Luis Castillo rounding out the $9K price tier today. How are you taking a look and breaking down these top price starters today?
Yeah, I mean, there's nowhere to really go wrong here. We've got some really talented pitchers in some really good matchups. So I think there's arguments for really a lot of these top guys here. But my favorite is Cole Reagans. I've been a big Cole Reagans believer from the beginning of the season. And, he's had a few ups and downs, but mostly ups. He's looked pretty awesome and had one of his best starts in his last outing with those 12 strikeouts against Detroit. Going up against Minnesota here, who is not great against lefties. Like I said, Wheeler and Peralta against, the Giants and the Cubs, like those are great matchups and spots too. But if I have to take one of these top guys, I'm going with Cole Reagans.
Yeah, listen, Reagans, obviously, again, the strikeout numbers have been pretty elite. You're looking at the Minnesota lineup. Again, we talked about this before. Like, surprisingly, they have good numbers against lefties, despite their lineup being relatively lefty heavy, but they are without Max Kepler here today. One of their better bats, even though he is, again, from the left side of the plate. But I'm kind of with you there. I think Reagans with the strikeout upside, certainly a strong option. You always can go Wheeler if you want, in a big pitcher's ballpark in San Francisco. He's just $11,000. You're going to have to really find the value on this slate to kind of pair up with Wheeler. But, pretty much every start here against that, except for surprisingly that Miami start of all things here, he's been as elite as they come. One guy that I am fading today is Nestor Cortez, going up against the Angels. Again, maybe surprising to some, but the Los Angeles Angels are a top 3 team against left-handed pitching this year. In nearly every statistical category, they're actually first in batting average against left-handed pitching on the season. And then you go look at the home road splits for Cortez. Sure, only a small sample size there, 25 innings, 5 starts though, 6.75 ERA on the road for Nestor Cortez. So you look at this Angels lineup and you're seeing guys like Kevin Pillar hitting cleanup and, Joe Adell and Taylor Wood, like no Mike Trout, right? No big names in that lineup anymore. And yet they're absolutely mashing southpaws. So for me, I am out on Nestor Cortez here today. I'll be more in on the Angels as we work our way through breaking down today's slate. When I did the preview show this morning, 2 guys that I keyed in on the mid-tier were Fried and Gausman. Really liking Gausman in this spot against the White Sox.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. I really like this spot for Kevin Gausman. He's one of my favorites in this mid-tier. I think that his price is still too low for how good of a pitcher he is. Obviously, he's had some struggles. We saw him have a couple of bad outings at the beginning of the season. He looked like he had things figured out, and then he gets crushed by Minnesota a couple weeks ago. But he's looked really good in his last couple starts, and especially the last one against Detroit where he put up those 10 strikeouts. Like, I think this is, who Gausman is, and I'm not super worried about the early struggles.
Right.
I think he's going to be a good pitcher most of the way, and he's going against the White Sox, like 8,500 against Kevin Gausman against the White Sox.
Yeah.
If you had that at the beginning of the season, you wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't even think about it. Yeah, exactly. And, you're picking and choosing your sample sizes here the last 2 weeks. The White Sox, 28% strikeout rate, 3rd highest in baseball against right-handed pitching. You mentioned Gausman coming off of season best 10 strikeouts. This is a guy over the last 5 years. He's averaged around 10.5 K per 9. Right now it's sitting around 9.5. So, early season struggles starting to come back around here, coming off of that big strikeout game. I'm locking in Gausman cash games and tournaments here today. Where else are you going when it comes to the mid-tier today, though?
Another a guy outside of Gosman in the mid-tier that I do like is Jesus Luzardo. Now, this is a tough matchup against San Diego. Like, that is a really good lineup. They do not strike out a lot. But Luzardo has really good strikeout stuff that I think even in the tough matchup, he can still spike you, 6+ strikeouts, hopefully. Sure. And I just think that he's still really cheap for the talent that he is. And so I'm going to take the discount here with only 8,000. Like, even in the tough matchup, I think this is just too cheap for the upside that Luzardo brings.
Yeah, Luzardo's been a guy that you've been high on the last couple of slates. Obviously, it's worked out, but you speak to the Padres, they don't strike out. You're right, 18.5% strikeout rate, but that's about the only good thing they do against left-handed pitching. They're 24th in WOBA at a 286. They're hitting just 222. That's 25th in baseball and batting average against left-handed pitching. And isolated power, sitting down there at 120 is 22nd. So a bottom 10 team in almost every category but strikeout rate. And you're mentioning now, right? Okay, they have a low strikeout rate, so maybe that lowers the Luzardo ceiling for strikeouts, but this is still a guy that is a strong strikeout pitcher. So I'm with you there. Of course, my always worry with the Marlins is whether or not they can score enough runs to get to get Luzardo the win. But for sure, the production has been there. After that, I don't really know. I mean, again, I liked Max Fried at $8,800. I don't usually pitch against Washington, but I do think Fried obviously is coming off of a complete game. He has 2 complete games now on the season. Very talented pitcher there. For value, though, is there any value pitchers that you're taking a look at? Like, do we think that Hunter Brown maybe has turned a corner here? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I'm willing to take a shot on Hunter Brown. Again, a big believer in the talent. The results have not been there this season, but we've seen some good outings. It's still been a little shaky from start to start. But again, we've seen some good outings. He's had a couple of, 7 strikeout games. His last one against the Angels, despite only the 3 strikeouts, it was still a quality start. He still went 6 innings, only 2 earned runs. That was still decent. Again, that 12.5 points, that's not exactly what you want, but for 6,500, you can kind of live with that. And I think there's definitely upside for more, especially with the Astros lineup. Obviously, they're going up against Castillo, but still give you decent win potential because that lineup has, turned things on quite a bit. Again, that it's a risk. We've seen it blow up really bad a couple times this season, but Seattle strikes out a ton. Hunter Brown has the talent that if he is pitching well, he could really return value at 6,500.
Yeah. Listen, as bad as he has been, he is not this bad of a starting pitcher. And even the FanGraph numbers sort of give you some eyes for hope here. Is 7.06 ERA, but his expected ERA is 4.4, which is serviceable at a $6,500 price tag. His xFIP's 420, again, not awful. He's got an over 9K per 9. The problem is he's got a 5 walks per 9. So if he can just stop walking guys, then the hits that he gives up, it won't cause as much damage. But what do we talk about with Seattle, right? Highest strikeout rate in baseball against right-handed pitching. A guy with a strikeout per inning right now. I mean, if he can go deep into this game, there's a chance that he could have a ceiling strikeout performance. And you mentioned Luis Castillo, he's still having trouble giving up home runs. And we know, obviously, Houston has some guys like Kyle Tucker and Yoran Alvarez that can, plant one in the seats here. So for me, if you're throwing a dart down to the value, I think I'd rather take a shot there. Tristan McKenzie against Colorado, Simeon Woods Richardson against Kansas City. They're okay, but they're not really spots I'm looking to go to.
Yeah, no, not really. I agree with you there. I think, Simeon Woods Richardson has been pitching well, but this dude doesn't have strikeouts. He had that 8 strikeout game against Seattle. And when that happened, I kind of said, don't believe in this. This is the outlier here. And sure enough, we've had 2-2-1 since. This is who he is. He's not going to strike guys out. He's going to go in, going to get some decent innings in. He won't give up a lot of runs, but there is not upside with him.
Yeah. I agree with you. I do think it's worth mentioning here because we skimmed by it at the beginning of the show. Some possible weather games here, again, just to sort of call out and pay attention. Some of the latest weather updates. That Toronto-Chicago game, they're expecting to play, but some of the early weather reports there, maybe some rain in the early innings could cause a late start to that one. Really the only game that I think we're going to be taking a look at for this. So just pay attention if you're in Toronto. We like that Gosman matchup here. Could be in an early delay. And then from there, you kind of take the risk, right? There's chances sometimes that these games don't get get going, especially when they're early in series. They could always play double headers, but not looking like it's too serious in that matchup there. We appreciate you all tuning in. Bender popping and asking us thoughts on Waldron versus Miami. Are you going the knuckleballer here against the Marlins?
Yeah, he is the one other cheap pitcher that I kind of like today. The beginning of the season, I kind of had the strategy of I'm not going to touch the knuckleballer. I don't want to deal with it. But you cannot ignore what he has done in his last 3 starts. He faces the Dodgers and then the Braves in Atlanta and the Reds in Cincinnati. All 3 of those starts, he goes at least 5 innings, gives up 2 earned runs and less, and strikes out 6, 10, right, and 7. Like, he absolutely dominated 3 really good offenses. And so, yeah, I'm kind of believing it here. He's putting up those high strikeout numbers and not giving up the runs. Like, obviously, with the knuckleball, if it's not working, he could still get crushed. But he's been really good in his last couple outings. And so against a bad offense in Miami, like I said, I'm kind of in on Luzardo today. But if you're not going there, Miami offense is terrible. And so if he can do this kind of damage to the Braves and Dodgers and Reds and Cincinnati, why should he not be able to go out there and put a great outing against Miami?
I mean, isn't that the case though with these knuckleballers here? What was it? Wasn't it the Red Sox had not Wakefield, but Stephen Wright had an all-star first half one year, just throwing out of nowhere, just throwing knuckleballs, right? So these guys can go on crazy runs with that knuckleballer if they're getting the movement. It doesn't really matter who's at the plate. They go down there and they don't know where it's going. The catcher doesn't know where it's going, and the hitters certainly don't know where it's going. So, I'm in on some Waldron there for sure with the Padres at home. Moving on over to the catcher position here again. Usually we just look for the cheapest option and move along. What are your thoughts today at the catcher spot?
I think there's a couple intriguing guys in here. I think, Sean Murphy coming off the IL. This will be his second game back. For only $3,500. Obviously, this is only second game. Who knows what he's going to be able to do, but he's a really good hitter for only $3,500 to be able to put in at the catcher spot.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Again, the fact that he came back, getting Irvin, had the hit, had the RBI in the return there. He's a 4K plus catcher generally in that lineup. Obviously no Acuna weakens that a little bit now in that overall offense here, but I'm with you. He was my initial plug on this slate as well. Again, I don't mind looking at a hop at $3,800 against Nestor Cortez. If you wanted to go there as well, some other value plays as these lineups come out. I'm sure we'll be able to find some, but for now, it's kind of where I was sitting with you. First base here. Harper, your top price guy at $6K. What are your thoughts spending up at first here? Howard obviously mentioning Clevenger being scratched. Vladdy at $5K as an option against Woodford.
I really like Vlad Guerrero in this spot. I think, who knows what's going to happen with Woodford. I liked Vladdy even when it was Clevenger, because it's not like Clevenger was someone we were scared of.
Right.
And Vladdy's been on fire recently. He's been someone who's been kind of frustrating to start the season of just the talent is obviously there, but he's just not producing results along with most of that Blue Jays lineup. But that Blue Jays lineup's starting to turn things on. Vladdy's hitting, Bichette's starting to hit. And so obviously he went over 3 in his last game, but he was 4 for 5 that game before that. And he's had a really good stretch here that I'm willing to go right back here to Vladdy against, the thrown in last second guy here.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I think you can probably play most of these guys. I know Bender just did the stock watch, mentioned the struggles of Josh Naylor here lately, but he does have that Coors Field matchup, against Feltner there at $5,600. Salvi's been crazy good. We know Matt Olson has been off to a slow start, but maybe eventually begins to pick it up for him there. In the mid tier, any options for you that you're looking to target?
The middle, there's not a ton of guys that are super intriguing to me, and mostly because I have one cheaper guy that's really jumping out, and that's DJ LeMahieu making his return. Look, he's batting 9th, obviously, and this is his first game back, but 3,300. Mostly, I really like the Yankees lineup here against Griffin Canning. I think this is a great spot for them. And so when I can take the 9 spot and do like a wraparound stack or something with DJ LeMahieu for only 3,300, I just think that the upside is really high there.
Yeah, that's actually a great value play at $3,300 for sure, getting into that lineup. A guy for me that I was looking at was Nathaniel Lowe. He's $4,200. Brandon Pfaadt this year, lefties, 330 WOBA, 280 batting average. .447 slugging percentage. Nothing like crazy bad, but still, we'll get to another Rangers hitter that is just lighting the world on fire right now from the left side of the plate. If you're looking to stack maybe some Rangers against Brandon Pfaadt today at 42, I think you could there for sure. But that was probably it for me at first base. When I looked over the slate, despite it being 10 games, I like the top end guys here. Definitely one or two mid-tier guys. And then calling out LeMahieu returning, I think is pretty solid as well there. Anybody else for you?
No, yeah, that's about it for me too. Those three guys I really like, along with just the lineups I like today: Blue Jays, Rangers, and Yankees being all really good places to go.
Sure. Moving on over to the second base here then, and guys, we appreciate you all tuning in. If you want to hit that like button, free way to support the work we do here. Of course, the QR code there is on the screen. If you're not yet a member of the Fantasy Alarm family, get access to all of our premium content, tools, lineup generator projections, and playbooks over at Fantasy Alarm. Right now, promo code Let's Go gets you that first month for less than $20. Let's go to fantasyalarm.com/win. You can scan that QR code there on the screen to take advantage of our Let's Go promo code offer happening right now. Altuve, Jimenez, Albies, Simeon, Stott, and Marte. Big group there, up over 5K. Is this a position you're looking to spend up for today?
Probably not, honestly. I think there's some really good kind of middle or cheaper options here. I think these are all good options. Obviously getting some Coors exposure of Jimenez here against Feltner, like decent, even with a bit of a price jump. And, Altuve, Albies, Simeon, like they're all so good. You could go there. But I just think I'd rather save my money at second base today and go elsewhere.
Sure. Can't go second base. Can't go a day with a lefty on the mound without talking about Luis Rengifo. He's hitting 500 this season with a 760 slugging percentage against left-handed pitching. I don't really think I need to say much else than that. He's also been very good recently. 326 average, 951 OPS. Almost put him on the cover of today's show, but I did that the last time he faced a lefty, so I didn't want to be redundant. But Angels for me all day, and Rengifo for sure here against the lefty.
Yeah, can't agree more. I think, Rengifo's definitely my number one, auto play here at second base. I think there's some decent cheap options too. If you, already talked up the Yankees and Blue Jays lineups. So if you want some cheap exposure to them, like Gleyber Torres or Kevin Biggio at second base, really cheap ways to get a part of those offenses that I like today. But if I'm not going there, it's probably going to be Rengifo. Yeah,
I'm in agreement with you for sure. Nico Horner still 4,100. I know Freddie Peralta obviously can be a little bit of a tougher matchup, but he's been okay at times. Peralta coming off of an okay start. You have maybe some stolen base upside with Horner. Rojas has cooled off, but if we're not in on Hunter Brown, he's $3,900. Some power, some speed there for him. But I'm kind of with you. There wasn't a ton of other value. I did play Kiner Falefa the other day. Hitting okay lately. You're talking Blue Jays, right? I mean, he's a guy.
Yeah, he is a guy. I obviously the upside's not crazy high with Kiner Falefa. He's never been a huge hitter, but look at those numbers recently. He's putting it together. And if you like this lineup, 3,200, it's not crazy.
Other guys we have are working our way down. You mentioned Biggio. Any other values for you today?
Not really. I think, Biggio's really the bottom end of, I think, where I want to go. Hampson, Farmer, Lopez, all these guys putting some tough matchups and just don't have a lot of upside. Probably Biggio's really the floor here for me.
Hampson's been kind of weird, obviously, because we know what he is as a player because he's been in the league for a while now. But, if you want to just ride guys that are on hot streaks, he's $2,400. He's hitting 400 over his last 10 games. He's been in their lineup every day with Massey being hurt. So you could give Hampson obviously a look if you're not in on Simeon Wood Richardson just as a bottom of the barrel punt play here today. Over at third base, yesterday we played Jose Ramirez. That obviously paid off. No worries there. Going back to him at $6,400. What are you doing at third today outside of Ramirez?
Obviously Ramirez is a great play there, but I think outside of him, you have some really good options even here at the top end of obviously Riley back in the lineup for only 5,100. Can't really go wrong there. I also really like the other side of that Colorado game of getting Ryan McMahon batting third against Tristan McKenzie. Obviously Tristan McKenzie's been pitching decent this year, but it's in Colorado, and McMahon's been hitting really well. even outside of Coors. So, he's got that power. And I'm willing to take the, big discount compared to what Ramirez is. Obviously, he's not the hitter that Jose Ramirez is.
Right.
If you want Coors and need to save some money, go for McMahon.
The rare split play where McMahon is worse in Coors so far this year than on the road. You don't ever see that for a Rockies player, which only makes me believe that eventually the home numbers will flip around in his favor at some point this year. Again, you have Renifo. We talked about him. Michael Garcia's been hitting the ball a little bit better of late. He's $4,500 if you're going Royals today against Simeon Woods Richardson. You can go there. Again, a couple of Seattle Mariners bats down here. Josh Smith is 3,800. If you're looking for the mid-tier and value today, any targets for you?
Yeah, Josh Smith is probably my favorite. We already talked about liking the Rangers and you like the lefty bats, especially against Brandon Pfaadt. And so Josh Smith, who's been hitting a little better recently, he kind of cooled down for a while there, but now we see a couple multi-hit games recently. So putting the bat on the ball a little better in this matchup, I like Josh Smith.
Yeah, and if you're a believer in the home road stuff, obviously it's always matchup dependent, but he's sitting way better, almost 100 points higher at home, and OPS over 900 at home this season. And we know, obviously, as it gets warmer in Texas, the balls tend to fly out there a little bit more. Any other value plays for you today as we work our way down that maybe we haven't discussed yet?
No, not really. I don't think so. Not at third. Third's a little thin for me.
I agree. Not much there. Moving on over to shortstop. Again, a pretty loaded position. You have Bobby Witt up at the top at 62. Corey Seager, as I alluded to earlier, those 7 homers over the last 10, coming off of a 2-homer game the other day, 351, almost a 1,400 OPS during those 10 games. Safe to say he's over his first month struggles here, looking much like the player he was last season.
Yeah, he's been outrageous. 10-game hit streak and 6 homers in his last 6 games. Like, he had that 4-game homer streak, and then, he doesn't hit a homer. Next day, he hits 2 of them. So, he's been absurd. And it's really hard to not pay the money for Corey Seager right now.
Yeah. Michael Noel saying, let's go. Our guy Mark Pitts saying Nick Senzel's a 321 ISO against left-handed pitching. That's something to pay attention to. Where's Senzel at? Is he... See on this one, 3,700 as a third baseman. I guess if you're not going Fried, I guess the power numbers definitely are there for Senzel. But again, liking Seager a lot here. Tovar hitting second against McKenzie. You have Willie Adames at home versus a righty, which has been sort of the bingo splits for Adames with his power numbers. You mentioned liking the Yankees. Got anything Volpe leading off at 45. Really strong mid-tier of shortstops here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Volpe is a great play here. If I love the Yankees against Canning, Canning has been not good this season. No. And you look at his last couple of games and the results have been better, but he's lost the strikeouts, which makes me think that he's decided, okay, I'm going to start filling up the zone more and not getting the strikeouts, see if I can get better results. And it's worked. I don't think that's going to work against the Yankees. You can't decide to fill up the zone and survive this lineup right now. No. They are terrifying.
Yeah, I was going to go check out. I think I had the no run first inning in that game, and the payout on it was way on the over. They're like, yeah, no, there for sure will be a run scored in the first inning of this Yankees Angels game here today. Pena Bichette also in the mid tier. Bichette's playing really, really well. Pena as well. Obviously a little bit tougher matchup for him than Bichette, but if you're in on Toronto, that works. I'm just going to skip down to Zach Nato here. He has the second highest batting average in baseball against left-handed pitching, right below Renifo. He's hitting 462 versus lefties. Again, you wouldn't picture that. A guy like Zach Nato is an elite hitter, but against left-handed pitching this year, he is absolutely rocking them. Power-wise, you name it, he's covering the bases here at $3,400. If you're looking to get some cheap plays in, Nato at 34 is going to be one of the better value plays of the day.
Yeah, I agree. I also think you have some good cheap options in Edmundo Sosa, who continues to hit the ball well and facing the lefty today. And I also really like JP Crawford here at the cheap end. If you don't believe in Hunter Brown, and you're going again with Seattle, at 3,300, he's been hitting the ball really well lately. And, he had a great season all last year. This guy's turned into a pretty good hitter. So if you think that Brown might be in for another blow up, why not go for the 3,300?
Yeah, Crawford coming off the IL, he's been fantastic. So, 3 games up over 10 fantasy points now over the last 4 at 3,300. Definitely some good value. Yeah, and Armando Sosa, his numbers against lefties are insane as well. Obviously, the initial preview there he went with the opener and the long reliever there for the Giants here today. So maybe you get an at bat or 2 for Sosa here against the lefty. Moving on over to the outfield, again, all elite spots. You mentioned, obviously, the Yankees guys are here, Soto and Judge. You got to find enough value to get them both in your lineup here today, but it could be uber productive if you do.
Yeah, the Yankees outfield is kind of my go-to today, even if it's not the top end. Like, if you can't afford Soto and Judge, then okay, Stanton, Verdugo, find ways to get those guys in there. I think the entire Yankees outfield provides great options. And obviously to fit both Soto and Judge in your lineup is tough work. But if you can find a way to do it, that'd be pretty sweet. And if not, maybe grab one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely grab one of them. Probably, can't go wrong with either. Maybe take the little bit of a discount with Judge over Soto there to save a few $100. Again, if you want to go Tucker against Castillo, you certainly can. Not going to argue with that one. What do you make of Julio Rodriguez? Is he starting to break out of his slump? Homers in 2 of the last 3, multi-hits in each of the last 2. Again, if you're not in on Hunter Brown, does Julio start to pique some interest for you?
Absolutely. I mean, we knew this guy was going to hit eventually. Yeah, he had a cold start last year too. Not as cold as this one has been. He's been real cold. But we knew it wasn't going to last forever. He's just way too talented. So we see those, 6 hits in the last 3 games, including 2 homers. I fully believe that that's something that he can now keep going. And when this guy gets going, you're going to want to have him in some lineups. So if you're not in Hunter Brown, sure, I'll absolutely pay the $5K for this Julio Rodriguez little jump start here. 2
stolen bases in each of the last 2 games as well, really helping the fantasy boost for him. Guys against in the Angels, again, you got Ward there against Cortez, 4,800. You got Stanton against Canning if you want to keep stacking that game, 48. Certainly some power in both of those bats. What are you looking at in the mid-tier of the outfield today?
I like Michael Harris getting back to that leadoff spot. Obviously, sucks to have Acuna being out for the season. Like, that is rough, but that doesn't put me off of the Braves lineup at all. Yeah. And so him getting to go back into this leadoff spot now, it intrigues me a lot.
Yeah, I really like this. I called this out on the show this morning, kind of theorizing, if they would move Michael Harris to the leadoff, if they would keep Albies there, good decision, hopefully, fantasy-wise for us. Keeping Harris there, a couple hits now in 4 straight games. Got a stolen base, maybe add some speed. And we know he's a little bit of a better power hitter than he's shown to this point in the year. So I'm waiting for him to have a nice little breakout there for sure. Where are you with Corbin Carroll? He's 4,400. He's leading off. It's Dane Dunning. I get it. He's been terrible. But again, another guy that's he can't be this bad, right? They got to be working with something here to get him right. You got Dane Dunning tonight. Got him leading off at 4,400.
Yeah, similar opinion to Julio Rodriguez. This just wasn't going to last forever. He's too talented. A little sophomore slump, whatever. Maybe some pitchers figured something out on him, but he was always going to work through this. And so 4,400, again, batting leadoff. This is a guy that I will not be surprised if come the middle of summer, he's back to being a $6,000 outfielder consistently. So, absolutely 4,400. I believe in the talent. I'm going to pay that to get him in there.
Yep, I agree with you. Value outfielders for you today? Anybody that you're looking to plug in right away?
I also like Jock Peterson here. If you want to add some more Arizona guys in there, batting 3rd against Dunning. Obviously, he's the guy you only start against righties. Well, because the Diamondbacks only start him against righties.
He only doesn't play against lefties. So
yeah, but batting 3rd, he's been hitting pretty well recently. Yeah. So gives you some good power here against Dane Dunning.
You got Verdugo's hitting cleanup today at $4,200. If you're going more Yankees, not to be overly repetitive. James Grande the other day was in on Tyler Freeman, came through 3 hits, 2 doubles. Would you run him back out there 4,100 against in Colorado?
I mean, sure, why not? I can't really give you an argument to not run anyone out there against Feltner in Colorado. So, if you want to throw in some Cleveland guys, especially these ones that are a bit cheaper, absolutely upside is there. That Cleveland offense continues to score runs.
They do. Adam Duvall's $3,800. He homered yesterday. He's going to obviously start seeing more consistent playing time. You're never going to get a good batting average out of him, but the power numbers certainly can be there. If you go look at Fangraphs, rather, they got him projected basically rest of season for 20-plus home runs. So, I mean, if he's going to start seeing that playing time, you can capitalize on that power boost. 880 OPS, 3 homers over the last 10 for him. Joe Adele has like a 600 ISO against lefties this year. He's only hitting like 200 overall, but the power numbers against left-handed pitching have been insane for him. So if you want to take a dart on Adele here in this Angel stack today, the power numbers are pretty legit there.
Yeah, absolutely. I also like Jared Kelenic. He's down at like 3,000, I think. So I think I'm getting ahead of myself here. But just you were talking about Duvall, I kind of like both of these Braves guys. They're batting 7-8. Both going to get more playing time here with Acuna out. And so, again, Kelenic has been a little frustrating, but we know the upside for him to go on a run is there. So at 3,000, now he's going to get a little more of a chance here. Like getting some cheap parts in that Braves lineup.
Yeah, I agree with you. We saw that last season. He went on that nice little run, then got hurt, and was never really the same player again after that. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. They got a lot of lefties in the lineup against Dunning today. McCarthy's hitting 6th, and Pavin Smith is hitting 5th. Yeah. I don't know if those are good or bad plays, but their value, and they could be something there. Luke Raley has some power against Hunter Brown. If you wanted to take a stab there, but that's probably it. Kevin Pillar. I didn't mean to skip by him. Again, hitting cleanup. I got to mention every Angel possible here today because I'm about it. How do we feel about Judge and Volpe? We're in. We're looking to stack Angels Yankees today if we can make it work. Probably have to grab some value pitching, but I mean we're definitely in on Judge and Volpe today as well. So let's get to a lineup build. You and I were both in on Gossman, and then you seem pretty excited about Waldron. Obviously, Bender has Waldron in his lineup here today. So let's save some cash. We'll go with Matt Waldron there against Miami. Keep it at 4,400 a play here. Yeah,
look, works for me. I think catcher also, we kind of went by someone else I realized that is really cheap here too. At 2,400, Kyber Ruiz has multiple hits in the last 4 games. Has always hit lefties pretty well. I know it's against Max Fried, but as far as a really cheap option, I think he does provide some upside here.
I'm happy to do it. Yeah, 4 straight games at 2 hits. Let's save some cash if we're going to try to get these spend up plays here. You said LeMahieu. Let's save it first. I'm fine with that. I didn't really have a first baseman I was in love with, whereas he's only down here 33, right? $3,300, and now we can really play. I think whoever we want because we're plugging in Rengifo.
Yep. Do you want him at second or third? I probably want him at second. Yep.
Right. Outfield, you wanted, if you had to pick Judge, or do you want to see, could you Judge and Soto?
I mean, we saved a lot of money. We can probably piece it together still if we wanted to do it.
We can definitely make this.
We probably can't get Seager then, unfortunately, but if we
Seager would give us, I mean, we could.
Or, I mean, you commit here and you take Volpe and you do the full 9-1-2-3 Yankees stack.
See, we do Adele at 37. What's 36? Does that give us Josh Smith? Oh, we're so close. We're so close to Josh Smith. He's 3,800. Needed $200 to make the Josh Smith play work.
I mean, go from Seager to Volpe then. Commit to the Yankees.
All right, we'll commit to the Yankees stack here. That'll give us more money to play with. We don't need Josh Smith anymore then. 44. Let's see. Was there a 44 second baseman? Not really. Gleiber just go full Yankees. All right, let's go back.
Well, yeah, I guess. Oh, yeah, no.
All right, 3,800. Let's see. We did kind of fall off of there. That gives us 1,200. Does that give us like Ward? There we go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. So we're punting with Isaiah Kiner Fluff because why not, right? He's $3,200, and we accomplish our Yankees Angel stack there. Rengifo and Ward with LeMahieu, Volpe, Soto, Judge going up against Canning, Gossman, Waldron, and Kyber Ruiz as the catcher punt play here today. Bender giving his lineup similar. He's got Gossman, Waldron, Murphy, Vladdy, Rengifo, IKF, Nato, Judge, Soto, and Pavin Smith making it work for Bender there. Don wants a first baseman under 48 today. I I mean, yeah, I mean, Christian Walker's $4,700. I'm fine there. I like Nathaniel Lowe at 42. Again, we're saving some money with DJ LeMahieu at 33, so can make that work. If you can find $200 to play Vladdy Guerrero, I think that was our favorite spend up today. So taking a look at that. So we appreciate you all tuning in. Again, we'll be back tomorrow with the live show at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, help us out here. Free way to support the work we do here on the Fantasy Lime channel. Good luck with your lineups here today, Henry, and everybody. We'll catch you all later.